Hello and welcome to episode 2 of our Let's Play in Space Engineers. In our last episode, we got our assembler set up after landing our drop pod here in the tundra of the Earth-like planet and found a nice little ore deposit over about 1 and a bit kilometers away with some cobalt in it, which is going to be one of the more important ores to find, in addition to the magnesium right here near the landing site. Most everything else that we're going to need in the immediate sense we can get from refining stone, which we've been doing up to this point in the survival kit that's attached to our drop pod. In this episode, we are going to put together this basic refinery that we have skeletoned out here next to the assembler. It's a little bit more efficient in that it is going to use all of the stone rather than just a even lot of 500 stone. And it's going to be a little bit faster, but it is also going to consume some more power than the survival kit does. So we're going to also need to get a battery attached here so that we can do that with our one wind turbine until we get a second one constructed. So we will be doing that probably also depending on how long everything takes here. And we'll hopefully at least get that far. If we have some extra time after that, we might try to then go on and get a little bit of a mining rig set up here so that we can drill up some of this stone a little bit faster than doing it by hand. And that will be a prelude to getting a rover set up so that we can go and dig up some cobalt and ferry it back here and get our first flying vessel up and running. We could just use this, but it's very difficult to actually control given the number of thrusters that it actually has here, especially if you want to control it and use it as a mining ship, because it will very quickly start to weigh too much for the one thruster that we could realistically put facing forward if we were to scrap the hydrogen thruster that is buried under here that we can't quite see. So first step here is going to be refining this stone down. Then we're going to move the ingot that we have over here into the assembler. We do have a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more speed in terms of what we can build here. And then we're going to queue up the parts that we need, which is a whole lot of steel plates, amongst other things. That should be it. Now I don't expect we will actually finish that before we run out of materials, so we are going to go straight back down into our little hole here and get some more stone. We are still drilling in the general direction of this magnesium, because we will eventually want to drill some of that out and get it refined so we can make some more ammunition for our assault rifle, and eventually for some turrets and other sorts of defensive emplacements to protect us from meteors and drones and everything else that will come a-calling. Until that refinery is done, though, we will have to continue to refine our stone into ingots using the survival kit, 500 kilograms at a time, and moving the results by hand over to the assembler. We've already got our computers done. We'll go ahead and stick those in. That's how much less iron they require than everything else, that we can skip over the construction components and motors and steel plates, obviously, and go straight for the computers, since they are primarily silicon, with just enough iron that can't be used to make anything else, but can be used to finish the computers. very grindy beginning. But this is exactly why we're working on the refinery, and exactly why we will more than likely get some sort of drilling rig attached to our little starter base there, so we don't have to do this by hand for too much longer. At least not for these materials. We can get a couple of construction components there when we can't quite get enough iron there for a steel plate, but not much. Just drill this out a little bit ahead of us on top here so we can actually walk all the way back to the back here. Although we are crouching down when we dig, because that helps us to go down instead of going up. We don't want to pop out of the service. We do want to get down to this magnesium here eventually. Grab that. We nearly have all the steel plates we need, but not quite. And then we will still need the construction components and motors. Those in, and we can put in the construction components. And do we have enough for all our motors? No, not quite. A little bit more iron still. That should do it. There we go. We actually did end up with an extra steel plate in there. That's okay. And there we go. Refinery is up and running. Now you will see that if we take the remaining stone out of here, go ahead and pull the rest of this out. We're not going to need to use that anymore for that purpose. We throw this in here. It will actually use all of it. Go ahead and throw this in here just for storage. And we can open up our assembler and throw this in here just for storage, because we do have more storage space in these two machines compared to the survival kit as well. So the next thing we're going to want to build is a battery. We want a large battery. And that will help kind of even out the power usage. Ooh, need a steel plate. Between the assembler and the refinery. See, I tried to actually pull it out of there. Between the assembler and the refinery, because we have enough power to run one of them or the other one based on our single wind turbine, but not both. Alright, so we need 19 more steel plates, 10 construction components, 80 power cells, and 25 computers. And I'm going to forget that, but we will try anyway. Go ahead and cook up 20 of these, 10 of those, 8 of those, and 25 of those. And we do not have enough iron, it looks like. Which is usually the bottleneck at this point in the game. And we are heading towards this magnesium. So that is the direction of this tunnel, although again our priority at this point is stone. We're not really going to be able to do much with that magnesium at this point. We will be able to refine it now, and we will be able to make ammunition for it, but we don't actually need it. You can see how much quicker that is. And again, it does use all of it instead of stopping, and then it feeds automatically right into the assembler. So we've got all of our steel plates and our construction components, as well as an extra steel plate that we don't actually need, but we'll go ahead and put that in here anyway. Because when we placed it, we got the first one. So we're not going to have enough iron here to finish up our power cells and computers. Back down we go. We've got 20 of the computers, so we need 5 more still. But we are going to need a lot more iron for those power cells, because they take a lot of nickel, but they also take a lot of iron. Gets to be a very long tunnel, but again, the stone is useful. These are almost inevitably going to be the first 2 steps you want to take. First 3 steps, I guess, you're going to want to take. 4. The first steps you're going to want to take when you're starting off in this scenario is getting some basic power generation up, assembler, refinery, and some power storage. And what is the issue here? Inventory is full. Of course it is. Okay, so we'll pull the computers out, and we'll go ahead and pull out the power cells that we can, get those stuck in, and that will allow us to do some more of that work. That's all the computers. We still need 53 power cells. There are some that are already in here. And now we still need 26. And we might even have enough iron to do that. This down here just so we can get an accurate. Yep, we got enough. This will show you if you've got enough. This will tell you how much you need versus how much is available, but it only relies on the amount of materials that are actually in the assembler's inventory. So anything that's going to be pulled in through the conveyors will not be counted towards this available total, so it's a little bit misleading. Two more. There we go. Now your batteries do start out with about 25% charge. Given the amount of power that we're actually going to be using now that the assembler and the refinery are both shut down, we will actually be charging this battery, which we can see in the control panel here. It can take in up to 12 megawatts. We're currently taking in 353, which is exactly as much as our wind turbine is capable of generating, so the current output and the max output are the same. Output, on the other hand, is only 2 kilowatts. That's the flea power for both the refinery and the assembler, so we are increasing our stored power up to 3 megawatt hours, and it will be fully recharged in 6 hours. It's probably not actually going to do that because we are going to be using the refinery and the assembler over the course of that time, so this number here, the output, will go up, potentially even higher than the input, and this will actually start discharging rather than charging. If nothing else, it will absolutely be charging more slowly. So the next thing we are going to need to do, and there are varying schools of thought on this, I'm sure, is we need to figure out a way to build a mining rig. And it may even actually be better for us to just continue mining manually, because what we will need to do is build some conveyors and pistons and drills and stuff to get over here and push down into the ground. The problem being that as of right now, our only available conveyor port is right here on the front of the refinery. There's not one down here, and there's not one up top. The full refinery has a few more access ports available to it, but the basic refinery only has the one on each side, and the one on the back is being used to connect to the assembler right now, which only has the one. So this is our only available access into our conveyor system. And conveyor junctions themselves do not allow access, neither do the conveyor tubes, whether they're angled tubes or straight tubes. So the only way we can get access to our conveyor system otherwise is with a cargo container, and all of the large grid cargo containers require metal grids, which we do not have unless we rip them off of the drop pod, the respawn pod, which we could do. That's not necessarily the worst idea, but this respawn pod could also be useful to us. So you know what? The respawn pod is probably not going to be all that useful to us. It will probably be more useful being stripped down. So we will go ahead and take the atmospheric thrusters off the side here first, because it's the metal grids we want. And we are probably going to have a pretty full inventory when this is all said and done. Can we rebuild these? No, we can't rebuild these. Ooh. Wrong tool. Your drill will destroy stuff. You will not get your components back if you use a drill instead of the grinder, so don't do that. And we'll pull this off because we need to move all this back. And we want a cargo container. And we will just do a small one for now. We need interior plates. We've got those in here. We've got our metal grids. We've got our construction components. We need more interior plates. We need small steel tubes, displays, and computers. More interior plates, small steel tubes, displays, and computers. I think that was it. Yeah, I think I might have even gotten that right. Now, do we have enough materials? There's the question. got enough for the interior plates. Yes, we do. Now with this done, not only do we have a lot more cargo space, we can dump all this stuff in there, but we have also got, what is that, 4 additional points we can, or 3 additional, in addition to one that we already had. We've got 3 additional directions we can go in terms of conveyors to access our conveyor network here. So what we are going to end up doing, I think, is going up and over, come out here. Let's go ahead and mark this out. I want to go straight back because we do want this directly over the magnesium, so we can eventually pull up magnesium using this apparatus. Looks like we want it to be about right here. That's pretty far. That's pretty far. Huh. But yeah, we do want it to be attached. We don't want to separate it, because then we'll have to have a completely separate power supply and everything else. We do have some steel plates we can use, though we are going to need more, so we'll go ahead and queue up another 10 of these just so that we can get out there. Although we are also going to want interior plates, because we actually need interior plates to build the conveyor, and there's not really actually a need to do the armor blocks on the way out. The important thing is the conveyor, and the conveyor will conduct power just as well as the armor blocks will. Do we have the conveyors unlocked even? We have pistons. Have drills. And by building the cargo container, we got access to the conveyors. So we needed to build that cargo container anyway. So what we will do, and I'm going to run out of hydrogen here if I'm not careful. Need interior plate. Yeah, didn't actually pick it up. And we're out of iron. So, since we're about to run out of hydrogen anyway, we'll go refill that. And we will go ahead and grab our hydrogen tank, because we're going to be doing some floating and flying. And we will refill our ice. This does not do us any good in the passenger seat. It needs to be in the generator here. Now we filled that up completely, so we will not be able to fit the hydrogen bottle back in here at this point. So we'll need to do some shifting around to refill our hydrogen bottle, but that's another problem for another day. That goes there. And we are going to want to put some height here. Actually, no. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and put a piston here. Piston. And then we will just extend this when we build it and contract it, or retract it. That's the word I was looking for. We will retract it to do our drilling. We're going to run out of interior plates here before we get where we're trying to go, I think. Yep. Back down into the hole we go, because we ran out of iron. Looks like we've got some underground ice here too. That's nice. We've got plenty of ice on the surface, so I'm really not that worried about that. But we do have some ice about 20 meters down. Looks like it's fairly close to the magnesium, actually. More ice is not a bad thing. And that will get pulled in through the conveyor system of the refinery. And then the iron will get pulled in to the assembler. And we can pull out the interior plates. Now, this is not Empyrean galactic survival, so we do not have to worry about structural integrity, which is a good thing, because this looks pretty flimsy. But it'll do. Alright, now we cannot get a drill on there. There's not enough room. But once we get all this built up, we'll be able to extend this piston, and then there will be enough room. So let's do this piston next. What do we need? 9 steel plates, 10 construction components, large tubes, motors, computers. We do have some of that. We've got the tubes, we've got construction components, we've got motors, we've got the steel plates, it looks like. I think that's everything. Nope, we need the computers. And then we are going to need a couple extra parts here for the piston head, which is a separate part. Puts us on a different subgrid. And we stuck more steel plates than we needed to in there, but that's okay. We're getting to the point where we're about to be swimming in resources, so I'm not super duper worried about it at this point. We need 5 more steel plates. I don't think we do need the steel tubes to make that work. We're going to try it without it. We can certainly extend the piston already now. The piston head is necessary for the conveyor to work, but the piston will extend without it. You can see up we go. And that's probably actually going to break the wind turbine. Yeah, that's a problem. I should have thought about that. Alright. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to reverse that. We've got some batteries saved up. So we will be okay to tear this down and move it out a little bit. I actually want to move it 1 block up anyway, because I've seen higher power outputs from the wind turbine, and I think it's because we're not high enough. It's not strictly related to the blocks, it's also just your height above the ground, so I might have been higher off the ground when I was doing that before. So we had 8, so we're going to go up to 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Turbine. We got all the parts because we had them all already. Although we did just dump a whole bunch of interior plates in here that we didn't need. I went through all the effort of actually tearing this thing down before we did that, but I'm not going to bother this time. As I said, we are about to be swimming in resources. So now, when we extend this, it will go all the way up. And we used all of our steel plates on expanding that out, so we don't have them anymore. But you can see now that that is extended all the way up. plenty of room for our drill now. And yeah, that is functional without the large steel tubes. Now, the rest of the conveyor system obviously is not functional, but that is another problem for another time. Our focus for now is going to be on getting this thing running. Now, this large grid drill takes 180 steel plates. The small grid drill only takes 20 steel plates, and a few less of some of these other parts as well. The downside being that we will have to attach it through a rotor in order to change the grid size, but a rotor is certainly less than 160 steel plates, so I think we are going to go ahead and do that, at least to start with. We don't need conveyors anymore, and we do need to use an advanced rotor, because we need the, that's just the, is that just the part? Oh no, that's the small grid version. There we go. Yeah, that's definitely less parts. But we do need the steel plates. We're injuring ourselves a little bit. That's okay. That's what the survival kit is for. It does restore your health, in addition to everything else, as long as it's connected to an H2O2 generator, which we are. So we are going to need 10 steel plates all together here. And we're out of iron again. Now there is an obvious limitation with how deep this would be able to drill in its current design, but since we're just doing one drill head for now, it will be pretty easy to take the drill off, add some more pistons, and stick the drill back on. And as we get more resources, we will be able to expand one more steel plate. We will be able to expand the drill setup and number of pistons and rig it up so that it's not meters and meters of contracted pistons, because the pistons, okay, so the large grid blocks are 2.5 meters. The pistons are 2 large grid blocks tall. In their retracted position, they extend out to 10 meters from 0 at that point. So it does take up a little bit of space to stick pistons in there. But we can afford it. And we are running over time here. So what I will probably do is I will finish mocking this up and then weld it up off camera with all the resource gathering that entails. We're going to add a small rotor head here, and now when we attach our drill, it will be a small grid drill. As you can see. There we go. The advantage of that too is that since we've got a rotor there, we'll be able to spin when we add additional drills onto the side or whatever. And in that way, we'll be able to widen the hole that we dig and expand the amount of resources that we're gathering. Anyway, that's the initial setup. And like I said, I will weld this all up off camera, and we will take a look at it in the next episode, hopefully functioning properly. thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you'd like to see what happens next. In the next episode, we will be watching this function and pulling in tons and tons of resources. We'll get a rover rigged up so that we can head over to that cobalt deposit and dig up some cobalt, come back and get some metal grids made, and maybe put the atmospheric thrusters back on the respawn pod in addition to some other ones and turn that into a drilling ship. And that will help us with our resource collection and exploration and getting everything up and running and hopefully into space before too long. Won't do all that in the next episode, obviously, but that's kind of the plan for now. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.